Welcome everybody to uSTADIUM Fantasy Live. I cannot believe we are approaching week 13 already. The
Oh,
last 2 weeks of the fantasy football regular season, if your league does it right. With me today, as always, is Stefan Bersh Bombs. How's it going, brother?
it's good. I got wins across all my leagues this week. I
Oh,
got a few
nice.
six
Well
and
done.
fives to go to 7 and 5. So I'm making those late playoff pushes. Week 14
Hey.
is I'm playing in leagues where week 15 is the first chip. So these last 2 weeks are the crucial, make it or break it. Everyone's in that situation. I
Yeah,
know we've got
buddy.
millions out there like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was a good week for me as well. I won where I was supposed to win. I
Good, good.
lost in my rebuilding situations. So I'll take that as a win as well. My one league that I'm happy I made a run. I was 1-6. I bring it up a lot on here. I am now 5-7, and I hold the last spot for the playoffs with 2 weeks left to go. I'm
Ooh.
looking to close it out and make some damage there.
You're gonna
I
be like
love
that the Seahawks and the Washington Redskins back in the day when they made the playoffs where they
Exactly. Yeah.
okay.
Get hot at the right time. I'm liking my team build. I got Taylor Gibson and Elijah Mitchell as running backs.
Ooh.
So combined, I think they saw just around 60 carries between the three of them over the weekend. I'm excited. You should be excited as well because we're about to dive into week 13 must add players for your fantasy team. But before we do that, before we get into that, like the stream, subscribe to the channel. uSTADIUM is always live before us, the sports desk with Splash, Jack, and their guest, Dan Cruz, was on talking Seattle Seahawks,
It's always
talking.
interesting to watch him talk about them because he is
He
not the
was
most boring
fired up,
monotone
man.
person.
He was not happy, as most Seahawks fans aren't happy right now, as it is. But Steph, before we get into most of the stuff going around in the NFL, listening to those guys, I presented them a stat line for DK Metcalf. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I want to know, in your opinion, if DK Metcalf, I mean, some leagues are in their trade deadline. Is he a buy low? Is he a sell? Is he a hold? I got some context for you with Russ over the last 3 games. He has 8 catches, 70 yards, and 0 TDs. I think he still has his hand up in the end zone, the last
Oh,
play or near the
that
last
was
play of the game over
heartbreaking.
there. In the 13 quarters with Geno Smith, he went up for 17 catches, 254 yards, and 4 TDs. What do we
Jesus.
do with this offense? Is DK Metcalf a buy low, sell, or a hold for you moving forward?
First of all, I think the Seahawks did a porous job when it came to bringing back Russell Wilson. I think they thought that he was going to just rally off wins, and that doesn't look like the case at all right now. It looks like Geno Smith had the reins of the offense, and he was doing pretty good in the last real
Decent.
for
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, for what we expect Geno Smith to do, it's more than we thought. Russell Wilson's looking like it's rough. I don't know if that finger is still bothering him, but as it goes with DK Metcalf. I have him in a league. My trade deadline passed. I would have loved to have shipped him, but then again, it's DK Metcalf. Like, I know he's going to go through these times. Russell Wilson has his big games. I mean, look at Tyler Lockett. He had 96 yards in the first half. Didn't do much in the second half, but I mean, it's kind of like a pick him every week. If you can trade him low, get like a guy that has a easy schedule going forward. He still holds value, but me personally, I don't like it, and it's starting to get annoying to me. Like, you're DK Metcalf. You are a 6-foot plus receiver. You've got one of the biggest receivers in the game, and you're not getting targeted. You have 1 catch for 13 yards in a game. Like, come on. I guess the
Yeah,
Washington
it's rough,
football
man.
team, Russ. I
It's
don't know if
rough.
Russ is what he's doing, but he's not cooking. He's ice cold. He's like a shooter that can't shoot. Got the little snowflake emblem on the bottom of his name right now. I'm selling
Yeah.
DK if I can. I'm going to get someone else better that's more consistent and a better offense because that was just horrendous last night.
Yeah, it really was. He does have a decent schedule going forward. He has San Fran this coming week, and then he's got Houston, the Rams, Chicago, and he finishes it off versus the Lions. So there's definitely a space there to turn his season around, but it's up to Mr. Limited because he's not unlimited anymore. So for me, he's a hold. I'm holding him because if you're trading him now, you're not going to get the true value for DK Metcalf. You're not really going to get what you want because people are going to try to buy low based on his production lately. So thank you, Karen, for tuning in. We appreciate it. We have a question. Let's get to some questions for the viewers. Cam, rank them this week. Elijah Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Steph's boy, Brandon Cooks, or Devonta Smith. There is news. Jalen Hurts did hurt his ankle on the weekend. Gardner Minshew was taking some first-team reps. Now, what does that do to the wide receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles? Is that a boost for a guy like Devonta Smith, or does that kind of put a hamper on the offense? I mean, Minshew does look more of a better passer than Jalen Hurts is, so that might boost those wide receivers if he does end up playing. But if I'm ranking them, I think I'm going Ayuk, Cooks, Smith, and Moore. I'm dropping Moore because of the play of Zach Wilson. He did see a good amount of targets. He did have a decent day. He didn't put up the numbers that we did see him put up in the past few weeks. But for me, it's Ayuk, Cooks, Devonta, and then Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fantasy guys have blessed us, and I don't ever, love talking about injuries, but like when it comes to a 1 to 2 week injury, it's like the last 2 weeks of the season, you need a guy that's gonna break it or make it, and he broke it for the first half of the season. This guy was a dud. He was borderline just a disappointment, and then out of nowhere, he comes and he saves everybody. He's like, "No, I'm Brandon Ayuk of 2020. This is what we've been waiting for. I'm gonna have him firmly in the top until Samuel comes back." Brandon Cooks, we got to respect this guy. Mm-hmm. It's not his fault. He's not dropping the ball. It's just the Texans are a bad team right now. Yep. He's a good receiver on a bad team, and it just sucks because yes, they're diminishing his value because it looks bad. But I would still take Cooks, and then Smith. I think with Gardner Minshew, it's going to be better for Smith. I think Gardner, it's that Minshew mania we had a taste of in Jacksonville. I think he more brings a passing attack to the table than a rushing attack. He can rush, don't get me wrong, but he's no Jalen Hurts. No. So I think that the offense does get an uptake. I think Goddard gets more looks. I think Smith, and I think their passing game goes up by 10 attempts, maybe more. Because if I'm not wrong, I don't have a stat in front of me. Jalen Hurts is not the most
prolific passer.
Exactly, and he's not the heaviest passer, so he won't throw you 30 times a game. Gardner Minshew will throw you 30 times a game, as Jalen Hurts will rush for you for 10 times and throw for 20. So I personally like the Minshew upgrade for right now. I think he brings more value to Smith, but yeah, Elijah Moore is on the bottom of that list. It's the Jets, get Mike White, Josh Johnson, Joe Flacco, everyone else that can give him the ball that's not named Zach Wilson. No disrespect, but come on, kid. You're killing this other guy's career right now. So get him the ball. He's a playmaker. They're all good, but Ayuk, Cooks, Smith, Elijah Moore, hands down.
Yep, I agree. Totally agree with that. Thanks for tuning in. Ryan Potts, do you have a contingency plan for Lamar Jackson this week? He's been a turnover machine historically against the Steelers. I mean, we're going to talk Taysom Hill with our must adds. I do have some streaming options as well. But I think a guy that I like, and I liked what he did last night, it's Taylor Heineke for the Washington football team. Yep. If there is a guy that should have contingency plan for his middle name, it's that dude right there. He can sling the ball. He has a little bit of rushing upside. So if there's a guy that I'm going to get on the cheap to cover Lamar Jackson this week, I think I definitely consider Taylor Heineke there.
I had a revolving door this week of who I wanted to start. Of course, Kyler Murray, has the bye week and he's been out the past few weeks. So I'm like, okay, Tua, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tyler Heineke, and Big Ben. I came down, I was like, all right, Big Ben, nope. Jimmy G, okay, Heineke, yep. And I'm looking, I'm like, why is Heineke just look like it's a great matchup? And I'm looking at his last few weeks. This guy is nothing but consistent. Like, I don't know, whatever happened after that bye week, Heineke has been back. But let's pump the brakes, Ryan, and you're a big Ravens fan. At the end of the day, I'm not having a contingency plan for Lamar Jackson. I personally think, yes, he's like that guy that no matter what, you're going to start him. He's like Devontae Adams going to have one game where he scores, 8 points. The next game he scores 35 points. Lamar Jackson's not going to sit there and give you 14-point outlooks every week. After the game, he was pissed. He was pissed after the game. I read all those after post-game stuff. He was just like, listen, I sucked. I don't know how I threw 4 picks, but I expect him to come out next week and blow the top off that Steelers defense that the Cincinnati Bengals humiliated. I took them plus 3.5. I'm like, there's no way Pittsburgh gets blown out, and they did. It's Big Ben cannot throw. Lamar Jackson had one bad game. Lamar Jackson will be back, and he will be the guy that we drafted him to be. I don't have a contingency plan, but if I did, Taylor Heineke is a great fill-in.
Yeah, he's got Vegas this week, and then he's got Dallas, Philly.
Oh,
so
wow.
good spots there. Jeff Battistel, Swift or Williams? I'm not too sure which Williams he's talking. If it's Jamaal Williams, I'm starting Jamaal because I don't think Swift plays this week. He's great for that spot start for you. So if you have Jamaal, plug him in. I mean, the Lions' identity isn't to throw the ball. They're going to run it, and they're going to dump it off to the running back. So pick up Jamaal Williams. He's a great spot start for you this week. Thanks for tuning in, Jeffrey. Couple injury news for the NFL. Dalvin Cook went down with an apparent shoulder injury. Is expected to miss a couple weeks there. News came out today that Daniel Jones has a neck injury and is in jeopardy of missing week 13, where Mike Glennon would be the start. We saw last night J.D. McKissick went down. He has a neck injury. No report on the severity of the injury there. Trey Sermon suffered an ankle injury. Christian McCaffrey ended up on the IR with an ankle injury. Pat Freiermuth is in concussion protocol. Deebo Samuel, disappointing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Deebo, that's my backfield. Samuel is hit with a groin injury.
Deebo Patterson.
Yeah, exactly. Missing 1 to 2 weeks. Darren Waller suffered a IT band strain in the knee on the Thursday games, and Jalen Hurts hurt his ankle. So
hurts his ankle.
So some big news there. Joshua Burry, for people who own both Jones and Dillon, what in the world are we supposed to do? You got any insight for Joshua?
So I did have Dillon in one of my bigger leagues. I did start him last week. Even though I don't care what Aaron Jones is doing, I think that Aaron Jones being healthy 1 week outside of the injury, it's just, you look at him and you're wondering, like, is it AJ Dillon or is it Aaron Jones? I think Aaron Jones is easily the guy that's going to be the carrier, but Dillon is taking the rushes. I rushed him 25 to 10 last week. And you're looking at AJ Dillon like, is this the ground and like pound back? Because Aaron Jones has been taking a beating. Yep, if Aaron Jones is
right?
Exactly, and if Aaron Jones is healthy, I don't know. I think that it's AJ Dillon's backfield to lose rush wise. I don't see Aaron Jones being the guy that they're going to give the ball 20 times to. He's hurt. You want to preserve him for the playoffs. And AJ Dillon's a young guy that's just got a lot of miles left to run. Mm-hmm. So I'm personally going to take AJ Dillon. If you have to flex him a little bit, that you can't go wrong either way. But I'm more comfortable with Dillon at the moment. He's just taking that workload.
Yep. And after the bye this week, they got Chicago, Baltimore, Cleveland, all going to be cold weather games where a back like AJ Dillon is going to thrive. They're going to use him. No one's going to want to hit the guy in the cold because he's going to have Derrick Henry syndrome where it's going to hurt that much more when it's cold outside to take the guy down. It is a little bit of a sticky situation because both can produce on a given Sunday. It could be one or the other. I think they kind of limit Jones's workload heading into the playoffs for their push in the playoffs. So I can definitely see Dillon being more of the fantasy asset for the until weeks 18 and the rest of the way here up until that point.
Oh yeah.
With guys like Chubb, Henry, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, all these top round running backs that people were picking in the first rounds of their draft going down, and even second round guys. We saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire miss time, Miles Sanders,
Montgomery,
Montgomery. Is the zero running back strategy something that you ever really consider moving forward? Because like if you're J.K. Dobbins went down, Cam Akers went down. These are all guys that if you even drafted a little bit early, you lost. So
yeah.
And then you go zero wide receiver or zero running back. You pick up guys like Adams, Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp. Like if you're going heavy wide receiver, you're picking up stud tight end, you're picking up a top end quarterback, and then you play the waiver strong, or you're taking chances on some of these back end running backs like a Javonte Williams, Cordero Patterson, who would have been a great waiver ad in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you really got to be aggressive on the waivers at the beginning. Elijah Mitchell is there, J.D. McKissick, who's been putting up points, Tony Pollard. I mean, it really makes a case for the strategy, especially these past couple years. I know it's hard.
It does. You're right. I mean, go ahead and finish it because I'm gonna go on a train.
No,
after that.
No, go ahead. Like it's hard to do because you want that steady producing running back, but at the rate that they drop, and I mean, it could devastate. It could devastate your team. You could be a meddling team. You could be right in the middle, top three. I mean, you lose two running backs. I mean, Aaron Jones missed time. Yeah, exactly. So, like, is that something that you're really going to look into this coming off season going into next year?
So, yes and no. I did look at it again this year. What I did this year instead was I hate it because every year we have that one guy, and I'm talking 12, 10-man drafts. You have that one guy that ESPN, no one talks about. They're like scaring you about. McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Henry, Kamara, CMC, Nick Chubb, all these guys that came for 1 through 6, injuries, missed multiple games, out, and like you're like, what's going on? But then you look at the guy who picked, say, 12. I had a guy in my league take Jonathan Taylor at 12.
Yeah,
and you're looking, you're like, wow. Now I'm like, I took Chubb over Jonathan Taylor. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
but that strategy, I'm more of a running back kind of a guy. I like to get two running backs right back to back. I don't want to have to worry about that. But if I get two big backs, I'm gonna go receiver, and then even in like the drafts, I saw Cordero Patterson go undrafted. I don't have the trust, and I'm not as aggressive on the waiver. I win my leagues through trades and draft. Gotcha. Waiver wire, I've had good pickups. I mean, Elijah Mitchell was the greatest pickup of the year so far, outside of say Cordero Patterson. These are guys that you take the risk on, but like this year works the most because of all the injuries. This year is more of an injury-plagued year than I think it's been in a while. Not to say next year might not be the healthiest year, but like last year was a healthier year, and you don't have to do the zero RB strategy. Like you can go heavy and be fine. But in years like this, you look like a genius because you're taking Cordero Patterson, you're taking Mike Davis wasn't the best one. You're taking Javonte Williams, you're taking guys that are second half guys, and I never did it. I personally won't do it. I can't. I don't have the heart to like watch these big studs go off the board. I can find a receiver anywhere. Receivers are they come and they go. They're everywhere. I can get Kendrick Bourne here. I can get freaking someone else here. But like that running back, when it goes down, that hurts your team so much. And if you did zero RB strategy and didn't get a Cordero Patterson or Elijah Mitchell, you're hurting, and
struggling.
And exactly. And some teams look better because they made those plays. But like, if you're going to do it, you got to make sure you are on the waiver wire. You're on the news. You're on trades. You're making sure that what you took will sustain you, because you don't win leagues through the draft. You win through trading, waiver wire, and the draft. I don't like it. I mean, if you do it, I don't shame on you. I think you have bigger guts than I do to do it. I'm old school. I like the running back round 1, running back round 2. If I get a third one, maybe receiver round 3. But it's a bold statement, Cotton. But let's see how it works. So
that's it.
so
I like it.
it.
I like it. I think I'm definitely going to look into it a bit more going into the next off season, if not a kind of zero RB light strategy where it's
Yeah.
not as heavy zero RB, where you can pick up a running back in like round 4 or 5, maybe even 3, and shore that position up. The chosen row start 3: Cordero Patterson, Ezekiel Elliott, Alexander Madison, or Austin Eckler. I think off the top, you're starting Austin Eckler here. You got to plug him in. Ezekiel Elliott, they said, is expected to have a heavy workload. As much as I don't know if I trust that coming out of the reports, but I think I like him over the Alexander Madison start. And then you got to start Cordy P, right? You got to put him in.
If I would have known when I first started preaching him back like weeks ago what he was going to be now, I would be in cloud 9. I'm never benching Cordero Patterson this year. I don't care what he does to me. He put up 30 points for me last week. Ezekiel Elliott, yes, he's good, but he's one of those guys who's got miles and he's got the injury, the knee. Yep. Madison, fresh gun. This guy when he starts, he's only had one dud game last year. Every other time he starts, he's an RB4 or better. I think it's Patterson, Madison, and Eckler. Yeah, Eckler is like you don't ever bench Eckler. You don't ever bench Patterson going forward. I don't even care if they're going against Tampa this week. You're not benching him. He's just the guy for Atlanta. And Madison has all the opportunities Dalvin Cook has. I think Madison is almost as good of a runner in a certain way as Dalvin Cook is. Madison looks exactly like him running the ball. He's explosive. He's a big guy. He's strong. He's carrying the ball. He looks exactly like Dalvin Cook when it comes to running the ball. So the only guy out is Zeke, and it's because his wear and tear, and Pollard is there. And I don't believe that Jerry Jones mumbo jumbo stuff, because he always is going to hype up his team no matter what. When I saw that comment, I'm like, stop lying to us. That's a bait. Yeah, bait. And that's bait for me, because people are going to start Zeke Elliott now, and they're going to get 10 points, and they're going to lose a playoff spot because Jerry Jones is like, that's our boy.
And the Cowboys as a whole are a mess right now with the whole COVID situation. So is Josh Allen going to bust this week? He's got the Patriots. It's Monday Night Football.
It's in Orchard Park.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely happen, but who are you comfortable starting over Josh Allen? I mean, the guy is
matchup proof.
Yeah, he's a top 5 QB on the season. He's got the rushing ability there. You got Dawson Knox back. He threw 4 TDs last week versus the Saints, who have a pretty good defense. Matt Breida's making his way in. So I mean, the chance is there, but what's a bust for Josh Allen? Like sub 15 points? Do you see him having a sub 15-point week? I don't see it.
No, I think what he does, it's like one of those guys, regardless of what he does, he's gonna finish off the game as a top 10 quarterback, top 5.
Yeah.
And we are fooled because, I mean, New England's been very, very good, but give me a list of those quarterbacks they've been playing outside of Justin Herbert. It's not really been the craziest quarterback situation. I mean, they've played the Jets, they've played
Falcons,
Jets, the Browns,
Chargers, Browns,
Titans. These are like top 25 quarterbacks, and I'm talking like 20 to 25. So Josh Allen's matchup proof every single week. I don't care who he's playing. If he's playing the all Madden team, the greats team, I'm still gonna play him as my quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I agree there. New England defense or Arizona? Man, New England's been legit, but I like the matchup with Arizona. I think they got a decent matchup this week. I'm going to go with Arizona just because of who the New England Patriots are facing. I don't trust it fully. So give me the Arizona defense there over the Patriots, at least this week. I mean, the Patriots have been money DST wise for the past little bit. But give me Arizona off the bye. They're looking good. I like what they've been doing on defense. They're getting healthy. They're playing Chicago with Andy Dalton at the helm. So give me that Arizona defense.
As much as I would love to say New England, yeah. It's just Arizona's playing such a more favorable matchup. Yeah, and I think that New England game could be it's gonna be a chess match between Bill Belichick and those guys, and then Josh Allen's like that gunslinger. So I don't see them getting killed, but I see them being in a high scoring game that the defense might get you
Exactly.
like 3 or 4 points at the end of the night.
Yep. Yep. I like it. Thanks for tuning in. Pick 2, Jerry Jeudy, Hunter Renfrow, who's been a
Balling.
great fantasy asset. Emmanuel Sanders, Christian Kirk, or Russell Gage. I think I'm going the first 2 here. I'm going Jerry Jeudy and I'm going Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, the names are these are just more solidified starters. I mean, these guys are ballers. I mean, no disrespect to Sanders. He's great. You know, he's got it, but I think there are too many mouths to feed in Buffalo. Same with Arizona, and I think same with Atlanta. The last 3 are just teams that guys are receiver 2, 3, inconsistent here and there. The first 2 guys, I know Jerry Jeudy hasn't been much, but neither has the Denver Broncos pass offense. It's been really the rush offense that's been doing good for them. And like you said, Hunter Renfrow has been such a steal. Yeah. I know he was a waiver pick in a lot of leagues. I know he was a draft as well, but if you got him in the draft, held on to him. If you got him on waivers or a trade, this guy is a league winner going forward. He's Derek Carr's best friend. This is basically like a poor man's version of Brady Edelman or Brady and Wes Welker. This is his guy. You know, this is
go-to. Yeah.
And Waller being out, again, I hate injuries. I do, but when you want to win, you know, you feel bad for a second, but you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. And Hunter Renfrow is going to do what he has to do at the end of the day.
He's got a great floor for you, especially in PPR leagues. So I'm definitely going Jerry Jeudy versus the Chiefs, just because I can see it being a high-scoring game.
Oh, yeah.
And the Broncos are going to have to play keep up. So I could see Jerry Jeudy having a good day. Renfrow out of those guys. So, yeah, good luck. Let's get into our waiver must-adds of the week 13. We're coming at you hot. Just a little disclaimer. We like to have guys that are under 50% owned on this list. So if Alexander Madison, he's available in 47% of Yahoo leagues. If he is available on your waivers, absolutely go pick him up. Also, to tee off that, Lions running back Jamaal Williams should also be added due to the injury to Swift. But again, we want to give you guys that are a little less owned, some guys that have had some up weeks, guys that are on the up and up. So that's what we got here. All guys that are sub 50. Our first guy on the list is Saints QB Taysom Hill. We all know what Taysom did last season when given the start. The 4 games of relief, he had 834 passing yards, 4 TDs, 240 rushing yards, and 4 rushing TDs. Well, again, what makes him so valuable is that rushing, like a Hurts, like a Lamar Jackson. It isn't necessarily their prolific passing abilities, but their abilities to rush the ball. That's where the relevancy as a QB comes from for a guy like Taysom Hill. He's playing the Cowboys. They haven't named him the starter. The reports are that he's taking first team snaps. He's facing the Cowboys. They're giving up the 16th most points to the QB position. The Dallas Cowboys in a whole are a mess. The whole room is just covered in the cocoa. And rest of season schedule as well. If he's named the starter this week and he moves forward as the starter, he's got the Cowboys, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Panthers, and the Falcons to close it out. So very, very favorable. He can be the league winner that we wanted Scam Newton to be.
Come on. I started him. I started Cam Newton and he got that rushing touchdown. I'm like, this is it. I was like, yes, I benched Stafford. I know. I didn't want to bench Stafford, but it was crucial. And this guy, Cam Newton, was so frustrating.
5 for 21, and then he got pulled for PJ Walker. It's unfortunate, but we know that Taysom Hill right now is a little bit of a better passer than Cam. He can make the throws, but again, his abilities come from rushing the ball, and they have one of the more favorable schedules heading into the playoffs. So Alver G traded Waller and Tyler Bass for Saquon Barkley. Thoughts?
I actually traded Waller for Schultz and Antonio Gibson in one of my leagues. So I was happy to get rid of Darren Waller. I love Darren Waller. I mean, there's no disrespect to these guys. It's just that Waller, I had a feeling like if you don't get enough for him now, then you're not going to get anything for him going forward.
Yeah,
And if that injury is more severe, you've kind of like screwed yourself over. But getting Waller, I mean, you traded Waller and Bass for Barkley. It's not bad. If you need a running back, you go get a tight end somewhere else in the waivers. They're kind of like almost pick them at this point. And Waller's
pick
not
up
really
Foster Moreau. Yeah,
exactly
pick up the second guy up there. Pick up Foster Moreau.
Waller hasn't been that guy. Like I hate to say it, he's been the guy when he's been healthy here and there, but overall, it's not the Waller of last year. So I like that trade.
Yeah, Barkley's got to make the turn. I'm expecting the Barkley turn to come, especially with the change of guard as an OC for the Giants. So I'm really expecting that Barkley RB1 production.
I'm waiting for it again.
To show up. Like it's gonna come. I don't hate it because you're losing Waller for expected at least 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it could be longer depending on the severity of the injury when he gets back. Next man up on our list is Panthers running back Tuba Hubbard. Stefan, how do you feel about Tuba Hubbard? He does have a bye this week, but given the recent McCaffrey news, he is season-ending ankle injury. Are you picking up Tuba?
Yeah, listen, I can name you like an all-star list of just injured running backs. If Tuba Hubbard isn't on your priority list, then you're doing fantasy wrong. This kid is, when he played, I know he had some dud games. You're gonna come at me like, oh, he didn't have this and that, but overall, he had over 10 points every game. He was a consistent 10-point floor in PPR. I think they're going to use this guy like they would McCaffrey. He's good. I mean, he's really good, I think. I don't like the McCaffrey news because they've ran him to the ground, but this is a fresh running back. This is someone that can catch the ball and rush the ball. And I think against Atlanta, he had almost, 20 fantasy points. He got it in the end zone. Like, they're going to feed him the ball. And with Cam Newton there, that only elevates his floor if Cam Newton's still starting. But even with PJ Walker, both those guys are almost the same kind of like threat quarterback, what they can run and they can pass. And I think Tuba gets the beneficiary from all of them. I mean, I don't see anyone else besides DJ Moore, Hubbard, and maybe a sprinkle of, I'm not even going to say his name anymore, Robbie. But I think it's good. It's good for fantasy because this guy's going to be a league winner. If you spent fab on him and dropped him, shame on you. But if you spent fab, kept him, left him on your bench, then that's what it's all about. Because you don't expect injuries, but when they happen, Madison, Kareem Hunt, Tuba Hubbard, Ramondre Stevenson, these are guys you hold on to because you're not going to start them every week to win your league. You're going to start them when you need to sit there and win a game. But he's right. Holden, you're right. You are 100% right. It's a
exactly
schedule.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Taylor ran for 4 touchdowns on the Bills. He's not no Jonathan
Tuba
Taylor.
is definitely not.
No. I know. My point being is like there are holes to be exploited, and when he's the only guy getting that much value, it's not like he's going to sit there and just get nothing. So I think going forward, next 3 weeks, yes. I mean, I'm starting Patterson against Tampa Bay. That's how confident I feel like in that. So I think Tuba against Tampa could have a decent game. Against Buffalo might have a decent game, but I just think overall you need to pick him up. I mean, running backs aren't there. They're nowhere to be found. And if he's sitting on your waiver wire, get to your waiver wire. Spend a lot of money because if you have over 60, 80, 100 hours, depending on your fab, what are you going to do with it going forward in the playoffs when you don't have, you can't take it with you going to next season. So spend now and reap the rewards of spending your money when you have to.
Yep. Yeah, and he's on our list. Like, you got to add him, but to play off what Holden said there, play a little devil's advocate with Tuba. Although, like we saying, you got to add him just based on volume, but maybe a little strategy wise here, maybe a little overthinking on my part. Sometimes I tend to do that, but pivot to the point where you let one of your league mates scoop him up and hope he plugs him in, thinking he's a plug and play option. He has the bye this week. He's got Atlanta, and then he faces 3 of the stiffest run defenses with Buffalo, Tampa, and New Orleans for the playoffs. So letting another owner pick him up may be the move in order to capitalize on the bad matchups. And the fact that he has Amir Abdullah looking a little bit better in that backfield for the Panthers, it might limit his production. So again, pick up Tuba just based on the on the matchups, but also, kind of think a little deeper with it. Let another owner pick him up, and let them worry about that situation, because that playoff schedule is absolutely horrendous. I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, even if I had McCaffrey, I would be a little worried. Exactly. But you got to look at every aspect of it, right? You gotta think.
Yeah, of course.
Like I said, maybe a little overthinking on my part, trying to get a little deeper into it. But again, pick up Chuba, man. Volume alone, pick him up. If you had the choice of Pollard or Chuba in the standard, who would you pick up?
I'm going on Holden. I went to look at the schedule for the Dallas Cowboys. Washington, New York, Washington come playoff time, or even Arizona as well. That's a cakewalk. I mean, compared to Chuba's death row that he's got to go through. Yes, I would pick Pollard, even with Zeke. I don't care if Zeke's going to get 20 carries. This guy Pollard's a stud. This guy, when he touches the ball, good things happen. And if Mike McCarthy's not there, let's see how this team runs when he's not coaching them. I think Pollard should see more than 10 carries that he saw last game. And personally, I think he should see more than 4 targets a game. This guy is a baller waiting to happen. And if you let him go and he goes to another team and you watch him as Dallas, the little Wolverine meme where you're looking at a picture of Tony Pollard in your bed crying, that's going to be Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones. Wait, what?
No. Pollard for Tony Jones Jr. this past week.
No.
Frick my life.
Hold and get him back. Spend on that.
If you can get him back. Tony Jones was a disappointment. He was not the answer, but I started in him a couple leagues. He looked good in the preseason. I was expecting a little bit more out of him, considering the opportunity that he had, but the Saints offense as a whole just couldn't get it done. Again, Tony Jones Jr. is definitely not Jonathan Taylor. So if anyone was expecting a 4 TD performance from him, it just wasn't going to happen. Next up on our list, Kendrick Bourne, wide receiver for the New England Patriots. Kendrick, reborn again, has found a nice role in that Patriots offense, averaging 14.8 yards per reception and 5 TDs on the season. 3 of those in the last 3, and 2 of them come in last week. He has started to get a connection going with Mac Jones on Sunday. He caught 5 of 6 targets, and in 2 of his last 3 games, he has caught 2 passes over 40 yards. He had a nice day against a stout pass defense in the Browns, who have shut down some big-name wide receivers. When we all thought that Myers may be the guy for the Patriots, and he still does see a good amount of volume, Bourne has definitely taken over that wide receiver 2 role over a guy like maybe Nelson Aguilar. He's really starting to catch fire in that offense. I've been liking what I'm seeing. He's closing in on career year terms and statistics. He's already matched his season high in 5 TDs. He is 11th in yards after the catch. So it's more than just him catching the ball. He's making the plays after he's catching the ball. He's getting open. He's getting loose. He's making moves. His rest of season schedule, he has a negative matchup this Monday versus the Bills. But in his last negative matchup versus the Browns, we saw him have a great day. He's got a bye week, and then he finishes it off against the Colts, the Bills again, in Jacksonville for championship weekend. So if you're in a 12, 14-team league, you need a guy that's been producing as of late. He's hot. He is a red zone target for the Patriots. Kendrick Bourne might be your guy.
Jesus, you just sold me on that 100%. I don't know how to top that. I mean, this is crazy because you didn't expect Kendrick Bourne, but he signed a big contract. So why isn't he doing this? Yep. I like it. I mean, I watched that play against the Titans, and I'm like, oh, he's out of bounds. I'm like, looking back, wait, he scored. This guy has got that toe touch ability. This guy has got
he's making plays, man. He's making plays.
And when you're putting your best defender on, Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar, this is like Mac Jones's best friend kind of a thing, You're all right, you're locked up. Where's my boy at? And Kendrick Bourne ultimatum is right there. He's right there. And you just look at him, you're like, this guy is, if he had a better, I guess if he was a little bit better in terms of like bigger, even the
Yeah.
receiver 1, he would be a stud. There's
Yeah.
not a reason that Belichick goes out and just signs this guy and forgets every other receiver out there on the waiver wire, NFL terms, because he knows what he can bring. And it's not like, oh, give me 12 touchdowns and 1,000+ yards and we'll consider you good. No, it's I need you to make me plays when I need you to make these plays. What does he do? The Browns, crazy good catch. The Titans, 2 touchdowns that were like, that second touchdown was crazy. Like, this guy is a stud, and when he gets the ball, good things happen.
Yeah,
It's
I agree,
hard,
man.
It's hard though, because there are 3 of them, and then Hunter Henry and all that. But I think he's slowly making his way past Nelson Aguilar and just right next to Jacoby Myers, because he's got 5 touchdowns. Myers has 1. So if we're gonna ask who is that touchdown threat on that team, it's Kendrick Bourne.
Yep.
Two
two red zone targets the past game, 2 tutties. So he's definitely an ad for me moving forward. If I need a spot start, if I need to cover a buy, I'm definitely putting Kendrick Bourne in there with confidence. Next guy on our list, one backfield that's been hard to predict. We have the Eagles. That's been terrible to predict. And now we have the Titans. But over the past 2 weeks, Dontrell Hilliard is kind of taking the role of Titans backfield. Do you agree?
Correct me if I'm wrong. He was on the Browns squad a few years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on the Browns squad a few weeks ago. I'm like, this guy's nice. And then he goes to the Titans, and I'm like, and of course he goes to the Titans the week that I'm like sick and tired of like going to pick out these guys. I had a great YouTube short. I'm like, yo, get down to Foreman. What does he do? Nothing. Now here comes Dontrell Hilliard out of nowhere. And one of my league mates has Dontrell Hilliard. He picked him up on waivers. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, he's going to be good. I'm like, no, he's not. 12 carries, 112 yards, and a touchdown, right?
12 carries, 131 yards.
Oh, 131 yards,
and a 68-yard touchdown.
Like, if you're telling me if this guy had 24 carries, he'd have over 216 yards. Not really, of course, but like, this guy's a stud. I mean, I shame on me for talking smack about him last Sunday. I tell people, I'm like, I don't care about this guy. I don't want this guy starting. He looks like the best back. He looks like what it's missing when Derrick Henry went out. This is the guy that's like, okay, you want to give me the ball. I played in Cleveland. I know what it's like to be a good running back. Deonta Foreman's got kind of the flash of what he wants to be, but I think Hilliard going forward is going to be a great flex position running back. I mean, who else is going to take these hits? He's a big guy, and Titans are going to rely heavily on him for more than 12 carries. I think this is a game where they go Hilliard, Foreman. Let's play them both, see how we do against New England. We got destroyed, but Hilliard was a great bright spot. And Foreman was just, a backup. So Hilliard could be a great league winner going forward if they utilize him well.
Yeah, again, like, not the sexiest name on the waivers, man. Not the guy that everyone's going to be scampering to pick up. Donta Foreman actually had 7 more carries than him and still went over for 100 yards this past week. Hilliard has had 2 fumbles, 1 fumble lost, but he's the more flashy guy. He's the guy that, has the opportunity to break off a 68-yard touchdown. We're not in fantasy. We're not looking to pick up running backs to close out games and keep the offense off the field. We're looking for guys that can boom, that can go off for those big runs, those breakaway runs, the guys that are flashy, especially in these waiver pickups late in the year. Hilliard could be the guy that really takes a stranglehold over that backfield. He's on a bye this week, but he faces Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, San Fran, and Miami for the stretch. So some decent matchups there for the Titans backfield. I don't mind it at all. Running backs, they're not a dime a dozen, especially guys that are getting double-digit carries. So go pick up Hilliard. If Foreman's on your waiver list, someone picks up Hilliard, go pick up Foreman. He had a decent day. Didn't necessarily have a bad day, but he had a decent day. Our last guy on the list, Lions wide receiver, Josh Reynolds. A little bit of gold mining for you guys. 1% owned in Yahoo leagues. A viable option in a Lions passing game that has lacked any real threat downfield. For me, the biggest thing is his prior connection and chemistry with Jared Goff. In his second game, he caught 3 passes, a touchdown, and 70+ yards. This week, he gets a Vikings team that is allowing the most points per game to the wide receiver. So the matchup is there. It's more of is the QB there argument? Is Jared Goff going to be able to do enough to keep him relevant? I mean, only 3 catches, but he did put up good yardage. He's averaging an 87.9 snap share over the last 2 games with the Lions. So he's kind of taking over that wide receiver one role for the team. He's a flex play. Is he a league winner? No, but he is a spot start flex play in, say, a 12 to 14 team league. He can be serviceable. I don't see him putting up more than what he did over the past weekend. I think he's got a 50-50 chance of catching a touchdown week in and week out. But that's pretty much, 12 to 15 PPR, half-point PPR points is pretty much his floor. He's got Vikings, Denver, Arizona, Atlanta, and Seattle to finish it off. So Atlanta and Seattle for the semis and the championship week. Great matchups, man. If you're in a bit of a deeper league, like we said, 12 to 14 team league, I mean, definitely consider picking up Josh Reynolds.
Yeah. I mean, I watched them last week. I mean, on Thursday night or Thursday afternoon, sorry for the Thanksgiving games. Sorry. I just think that I don't know. I mean, who else is there? There's no DeAndre Swift anymore, so you can't throw him the ball 10 times. Jamaal Williams is not the most, he's not the healthiest running back, but he's also not the most injured running back. So, don't expect them to sit there and go, okay, Jamaal Williams, you're going to do what DeAndre Swift did. No.
Yeah.
Josh Reynolds, like you said, he has that LA Rams and Jared Goff connection where they were like, hey, this is my boy. And then he went to the Titans, that didn't work out. And where does he end back up? On the Detroit Lions. And what happens the first game he's actually active? 70 yards and a touchdown. I mean, there is no one else on this team. You can't name me another receiver on this team that's going to do good. I can go on and on and on. And Tyrell Williams, garbage. Amon St. Brown, garbage. Hawkinson doesn't know where he's coming from. His guy's inconsistent. Swift, gone. That's the only bright spot. So Josh Reynolds, please, as a Detroit guy, I lived in there, watching you guys every week this year. Please just bring this guy a freaking receiver and not get 70 passing yards a game. You have that potential, please.
Yeah.
And against the Vikings, this is, like you said, this should be like a 100-yard day for you. Yeah. But it's Detroit Lions. You know what always happens? It's the same crap, different toilet. It hurts to be a Lions fan because you could see the disappointment and the frustration that he brings out. But Josh Reynolds is a great flex. I mean, it's not the sexiest name like we keep saying to you, but it's gonna work. Patterson, Elijah Mitchell, I mean, all these guys that we keep naming have not been like the freaking CMC, the Henrys, the Camaras. These are guys that are going to win you the leagues in ways that other people will not. I mean, I've been a huge advocate of being old school drafters, old school fantasy players where you just know nothing but the old school guys. And you got the new guys like Deebo Samuel. I missed out on the Cooper Kupps. I've missed out on because I'm like, no, I want to go to the guys I know will produce and that will bring me a safe floor. Look what happens. You just get big. You have to change it up. You've got to be more in depth and more strategic with it. What can this guy do for me now? And what is this matchup going forward? That's exactly what this list is. And that's exactly what you look at Josh Reynolds. Why would I ever start Josh Reynolds? I mean, if you got a bye week and you've got injuries, who else are you going to start really? I mean, this guy is the receiver one in one of the worst offenses. They're always going to be down. So they're always going to pass.
Yeah.
That's the only good way I look at it.
Garbage time is there. He could be the garbage time king that wins you that week, that gets you into the playoffs.
Exactly.
And then you drop him when no one's on by and you don't need his services anymore, right? So
about that drop. So a quick PSA for some new guys that play fantasy and some veterans. Not only do you know you play the flex guy as your latest guy you play every week, but if you're going to pick up somebody and drop him right away, be strategic with it. Don't drop him right away. We're I dropped this guy on Tuesday, and then by Friday, the guy that needs a quarterback or a tight end gets this guy. Hold on to these guys until no one else can take them, and they can't hurt you with it. So, if you pick up Hilliard, Bourne, Tuba, Tyson, or Josh Reynolds, just hold on to them if you don't need to drop them. Why give someone else a chance to get Taysom Williams or say Dontrell Hilliard? Because if you don't want to use them, fine. If you can like snoop up these guys and just hold them so other people can't have them and they have to suffer, why not do that? Play spoiler. You have to play to win the game.
Hello. like it. So that's our list there. I got some honorable mentions. Tight end Cole Kmet should be added as a streamer, especially running back Keeney Nguanu with the Dalvin Cook injury. He could see an increase in share, especially if you're the Madison owner and you want kind of a handcuff, because we don't quite know exactly when Cook's gonna come back. We heard 1 to 2 weeks, but we're not really that sure. Running back Amir Abdullah for the Carolina Panthers. Running back Sony Michel. Darrell Henderson suffered a quad injury this past weekend, so Sony Michel might see an increased workload. Running back Matt Breida, he's still owned in a good amount of leagues, so go pick him up. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel. Running back Boston Scott. Miles Sanders was also injured on the weekend. Again, yep. Tight end Foster Moreau should be added if you need a spot start for the position. Wide receiver Juwan Jennings caught 2 tutties on the weekend. With the news with Deebo Samuel, they're going to be looking for another passing option. He could be a guy there. Wide receiver Cedric Wilson. Amari Cooper is expected to miss Thursday's game. He did miss the last 2. Yeah, he's still having some symptoms from COVID-19. And I got a kicker if he's available in your leagues. Cincinnati Bengals kicker Evan McPherson. I was talking about this guy preseason, touting him to be the next Justin Tucker. He's hit 750 plus field goals on the season already, which is massive. He's had 2 great weeks back to back so far. So if you're looking to stream a kicker and Evan McPherson is on your waivers, go pick him up. He is kicker 5 right now, depending on your league scoring. We're going to get into a couple streamers. You have any streamers?
I do. One of the guys it's not like the sexiest. And again, we're not here to like wow you and get you guys all hyped up. It's Godwin Igabuki. I don't know if I said that right. The Lions.
The Lions, yeah, the backup running back. Yep.
I think this guy's a stud. I mean, when he played against Pittsburgh, he had 256 at a touchdown. Yes, but this guy is like a freight train, it looks like. I think that Jamaal Williams and him could be a good little dual backfield. Also, Rex Burkhead is kind of like he's floating around there. Yeah. If you need like a guy, I'm not, not an advocate for the Houston Texans, but like, hey, Matt Breida, Russell Gage. Also, one of the guys that has been very good and a good friend of Russell Wilson, more of a good friend than DK Metcalf essentially is, and the guy who scored the first touchdown of the game last night was Gerald Everett. I mean, it's crazy the last 3 games that he's played. 8 targets on 8 catches, 8 targets, 63 yards against Green Bay. He had 3 for 4 for 37 against Arizona, but then 5 on 9 targets, 37 yards and a touchdown this week against Washington. It seems that he doesn't care about DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett because he wants to give Gerald Everett the ball. And I think for a tight end wasteland that it is, this guy is a decent, streamer going forward. And I think his schedule kind of favors him outside of the LA Rams, which the LA Rams don't even look good either. I mean, to be honest with you, sorry, Jack, sorry to like go down that road, but the Rams don't seem like the Rams of old age. I mean, I don't know if it's the loss of Robert Woods is that big of a loss or is Von Miller plaguing that defense, but you never know. I mean, it's a good little schedule going forward. And if you need a tight end, if you need someone that's just going to get you some points, Gerald Everett. So those are the streamers I was looking at. They're kind of deeper streamers for like stash / like if you have an injury, but those are the guys I like.
Yep. I got Minnesota Vikings defense versus Detroit. Vikings are first in sacks on the season. They face a Lions team that doesn't really have the ability to beat them on the outside for the wide receivers. So I'm expecting the Lions to attack the interior of the field where the Vikings are the strongest. I also have the Miami Dolphins versus the Giants, who may be without Daniel Jones. We mentioned that at the top of the show. It's the number 2 defense in fantasy scoring over the past 2 weeks. So if you're if you're a defense streaming guy, go pick up maybe one of those 2 defenses. And then tight end, Jack Doyle from the Indianapolis Colts. We talked about him briefly with Will from Better Fantasy, only because he was in my lineup, but he's facing a porous defense from Houston this week, who's allowing the 6th most points to the position. Doyle has become almost the 2nd receiving option for the Colts. So book him, Dano.
Doyle rules.
Doyle rules. I like it. He had a good day, man. He had a good day for me. I was not expecting it. This past weekend, he had a great day.
I was watching him and I'm looking like this. I'm like, what do you know, Chris? Like, you are the tight end like whisperer. Like, you might not get the sleeper starts always right, but your tight ends are like dead on with it. So like, I'm always writing it. I'm like, Jack Doyle. So I went in a DFS lineup and I'm like, all right, let me put Jack Doyle there.
Yeah.
$20.
Yeah. Hey, good day. By $20 more than you had, right? I like it. Is there anybody that you're dropping? Anybody you're cutting loose?
If Allen Robinson is on your freaking team, get rid of that guy. Honestly, I'm looking at some of my teams. Like, I've got like Jeff Wilson. I got guys that I'm not gonna drop because I've dropped the ones I wanted to. I dropped Ayuk for a second, got him back up. Thank God I did. I mean, Cole Beasley.
Yeah,
he's still there.
Okay, I can see that.
Odell Beckham saved his behind this week with that little dinky touchdown. Trey Sermon, I think if you're still holding on to Trey Sermon, I think it's time to finally cut it out. Zach Moss is just like not wanting to play.
Yeah,
he wants to play. He doesn't want to play. Matt Britta's taking it in there. Another one's Brian Edwards. I know people picked him up and they thought
he's on my list as well.
He was going to be that guy. And then last but not least, don't kill me for this one. Like, please don't. But like, Laviska Shenault should just be dropped everywhere.
Yeah,
this guy's got.
I mean, I don't hate it, man. I don't hate it.
I've given him so much like leeway, and I'm hoping to get like a Brandon Ayuk return. Where like, okay, I held on to you. Actually, I traded him, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick him up, and then nothing. So like, Shenault, just I gotta cross him out. He's like my Mike Davis. Just get out, Mike Davis, Laviska Shenault, Miles Sanders, and Kenny Gainwell, and Kenny Galladay. Actually,
yep.
So those are the guys I would drop.
For me, I got Kenyon Drake. Unless you're the Josh Jacobs owner, he's just a roster clogger. Nelson Aguilar, he's become pretty much maybe the 4th passing option behind Myers, Henry, and Bourne. There's too much bust over Boom for me. Another spicy one, maybe Tyler Boyd. I'm okay dropping. You mentioned Brian Edwards, Sammy Watkins, and Tim Patrick for me. Those guys.
Sammy Watkins, hold on to week 15. You know what happens in week 1 and week 15 is Sammy Watkins, baby. It's historically accurate too. Like, I don't care if he's on like the inmates team, in freaking longest yard. This guy is gonna be a week 15 stud. Book it. I'll see you guys in 3 weeks when he wins some of your guys' playoff matchups.
Yeah, I like it. Drop him. Just drop him. Let someone else put him in their lineup for week 15. All right. Before we let you go, we have a little bit of a new segment here. Fantasy hot takes. Hot takes coming through. You can go to the uSTADIUM app, open up the takes feature, brand new feature. We are loving it. You're going to be able to make points off your points. You can buy into our takes. You'll see them there. My fantasy hot take this for you guys, it's not a week 13 hot take. It's a rest of season hot take. And it's Elijah Mitchell ends up as the rookie RB1 in terms of fantasy scoring in half-point PPR formats. He's 10th in the league in yards with 693. He's 3rd in yards per game with 86.6, trailing only Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb. He is currently 60 points behind Najee Harris in 0.5 PPR scoring in only 8 games played. After seeing 27 carries and 5 catches in back-to-back games with a great schedule to close out the year, it is Mitchell's backfield in San Francisco. And if they continue to rely on the first-year product, he can absolutely finish as the top running back scoring rookie. I mean, it's hot. because he is so far behind. He's 60 points behind. But if they continue to use him like they use him, if he keeps seeing 20 plus carries on a weekly basis, and he's seeing the targets in the passing game as well, I definitely like it. I'm going to show you guys here. There's the take. Can you see it? There it is.
Yeah.
There's the takes feature. You can buy that. You can buy into that with your points. It's only 50 right now. Elijah Mitchell finishes as the top scoring fantasy running back, 0.5 PPR. The links for the uSTADIUM app are in the description. Go there, get it, sign up, get some points, start buying in. Stefan, what is your fantasy football hot take, brother? Hot takes coming through.
All right. So I had one, and I couldn't spell his name right. Javonte Williams. I think Javonte Williams is going to be a top. This is my first take I want, but this is not my real hot take. I think Javonte Williams finishes a top 10 RB of the season. I think he pulls it off and goes crazy. My hottest take that I'm going to take, and it's not even a hot take because it's true. Cordero Patterson finishes up my green screen. Oh, there we go.
Cordero Patterson.
Top 5 PPR running back. Cordero Patterson has not only been the best waiver wire pickup outside of Elijah Mitchell, he's been the best running back / receiver this league's never seen this year. I mean, we got wannabes like Deebo Samuel trying to be Cordero Patterson. Slow the roll. Cordero Patterson is that guy. He plays 3 positions. He's my favorite player this year. I reached out to him on Twitter. I maybe tried to get him on the show one day. Didn't come back yet, but he did like my tweet, so that's a step forward. This guy is going to be the top 5 when it comes to end of the season, guys. It's going to be Cordero Patterson at 5 or 4. But this guy has been nothing short of amazing, and I don't care who he plays. I don't care what team he's on now. This guy is finally showing us what he is meant to be. So I got him as a top 5 PPR back and a top 15 wide receiver in the year together. This guy has saved my life, my lineups, my season. I know he saved Noah's season when earlier in a few weeks ago. I've got nothing but love for this guy. This guy has been nothing but a lifesaver. When I needed a running back, I traded DeAndre Swift. I had Chubb go out for a little bit. I had Mixon hurt. I was like, what am I going to do? A light shines down, and he goes, I'm right in front of you. Saw it 38 hours later. Best waiver wire pickup I was able to do, and he's going to be the top 5 running back at the end of the season. If not, I think he's like top 8 right now, right? He's going to be top 5, and we're going to be looking back next year like, what did he know about Cordero Patterson?
He makes money moves. Cordy P. I like it. Cordero Patterson, rest of the season, Cordero Patterson or Ezekiel Elliott?
Don't even. Cordero Patterson to the moon. I will go to the grave with the guy.
Cordero Patterson or Alvin Kamara? Cordy P. Cordero Patterson or DeAndre Swift?
Oh, I had DeAndre Swift and Cordero Patterson. No one wanted Cordero Patterson because it's ugly. He's not going to sustain this crazy. I shipped DeAndre Swift. Said, listen, I sat Cordero Patterson down on my screen. I was like, listen, I need you. I need you this week. He's like, he looked at me with a still frame, like,
I got you.
I'm so glad I never traded this guy because I would be mad at myself for hyping him up and then just ditching him. I love DeAndre Swift. I do. But I avoided an injury trading DeAndre Swift. Things like that happen. It's fantasy. And Cordero Patterson is the equivalent of what fantasy is. It's weird, but it works. That's mine.
I don't know what it is, but it sounds provocative. All right. I got one more for you. Cordero Patterson or Antonio Gibson rest of the season?
I'm not falling bait to that last night's game. I love Cordero Patterson, and I love Antonio Gibson.
P all the way. P all the way.
I don't see. It's hard because I don't want to die on this rock. But I will.
No, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all, though, man. The guy's producing.
Like I said, I mean Gibson showed us last night. This is what Antonio Gibson was supposed to be. That was Run DMC right there. Yeah. Run DMC was what we saw last night. If you can do this going forward, do it. But Ron Rivera, you saw what you had. Use this guy, run him to the ground, get this guy the ball. But he's not no Cordero pass, and you can't do all 3 positions.
I like it. I like it. I like the confidence. I like the take. I love it. Again, download the uSTADIUM app. The links are in the bio. Make your account, get on the takes, and let us know whether you're going to agree or disagree with us. Either way, we can get it going with the hot takes.
And I'm a degenerate. I'm a degenerate gambler. So I'll be on those hot takes, and you're going to shoot like 6, 7. I'm like, how many points does he have left? Don't worry about it. Just ride these takes.
You're watching the ads steady, eh? Steady ads. I like it. All right, guys. That is it for us. Thank you for joining in. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel. Everything is appreciated. We'll see you guys Sunday at 11 a.m. Go on to the app. Ask us your questions. We are answering all of them, trying to give you the best advice that we can. Again, we will swing the hammer for you so you can just sit back, relax, and set your lineups. That's it for us. I'm Chris. That's Stefan, and we'll see you guys Sunday.